Hello, and welcome to the KCK Inspire Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I am so excited to be on the air with you all today. I hope everyone is having a blessed day, that you've taken time to relax, you've taken time to simply reset for the week, or maybe you're taking some time to hang out with family. I know right now this is spring break week for a lot of people, so you're getting ready to go out of town and have fun. I hope everybody is safe during that time and they're just taking a moment to breathe. But I always thank you for joining me every single week. You consistently motivate me to continue coming on, giving you shows that empower and inspire others. But also, like I also put in there every week, I enjoy being able to talk about things going on in the community that are truly very important to me, because I do believe it is so important that we as a community do all that we can do to make sure we're uplifting each other and sharing the things that are going on. Before we go deeper into the show, I want to encourage you to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to this show on the go on your electronic devices. Also, tag somebody you know and have them listen in, because today's conversation is going to be very informative. You're going to learn a little bit more about a subject that is so deep to my heart that I consistently talk about every year. And if you know me and you know my story, know my mom's story, we are caregivers for my grandmother, Vera Johnson, who has Alzheimer's dementia. And we've been caring for her, I think, since about 2015, 2016, sometime around that timeline. And it has been a journey. It's been highs, lows, everything in between. But every year we get so excited and so much joy because there is an event that happens called the Alzheimer's Rally and Tally that we get to go to, and we get to advocate for different things that we want so that we can help the community of caregivers be able to advance a little bit more and get our names out there. And so we're going to be diving into that important conversation about Alzheimer's care and advocacy. Florida has the second highest number of Alzheimer's cases in the country, affecting over 580,000 people and placing a heavy burden on 840,000 unpaid caregivers. And with lawmakers preparing to make budget decisions, advocates are gathering for the 2025 Alzheimer's Rally and Tally to push for increased funding for respite care, the brain bus, and a public awareness campaign. Joining me today is Ms. Jennifer Braisted, a dedicated advocate in the fight for better Alzheimer's care. We're going to discuss the urgent need for support, the impact on families, and how we all can take action, because this is one of those conversations that we need to consistently have. But like I always do, I introduce my guests before they come in. Ms. Jennifer Braisted is the Director of Government Affairs for the Alzheimer's Association, state of Florida. She's been working with the Alzheimer's Association since 2015, and in her position, she works with state legislators and state agencies to advocate for Alzheimer's policies. Ms. Braisted also works to research and develop policy solutions to create a dementia-capable state that helps 580,000 Floridians living with Alzheimer's and their caregivers. She currently serves as the co-chair of the State Health Improvement Plan, aka SHIP, priority area, which is under the focus of Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. Ms. Braisted also serves as the advisory board member for the Area Agency on Aging Palm Beach, Treasure Coast. And prior to working at the Alzheimer's Association, she worked as a political consultant and began her career working on Capitol Hill. So if that doesn't tell you the credibility that she has to help the Alzheimer's Association, I don't know what does. But I am so grateful to have her on with me once again. Welcome to the show, Ms. Braisted.
Hi. So great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I am so appreciative just to be able to be in the space where you've given me and my mom another outlet to be able to put our advocacy to work and use our platforms, our voices to really talk about the things that are near and dear to our heart. Just to get started, can you share more with the audience about the significance of Alzheimer's Rally and Tally and why it's an important event for both caregivers and those living with Alzheimer's in Florida?
Absolutely. So As you've mentioned, our rally and tally is our big state advocacy awareness day. It's when advocates from across the state travel to Tallahassee, from the Keys, from Pensacola, all areas of Florida. They are traveling to our capital to really, be present and show that Alzheimer's is something that is affecting all of us in every district, in every county, in every community here in Florida. As you mentioned, there are 580,000 Floridians who have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease here in the state. That's the second highest in the entire country. We have a large senior population. We know that age is the greatest risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia. But we also have so many individuals who are caregivers. We have over 840,000 individuals who are providing care, unpaid care. And we know that they are dealing with their own realities too, whether that's working full time, trying to care for their parents and also care for young children. So it's caregivers also being able to come share their stories and really help move the needle forward on Alzheimer's policies here in Florida.
And that's also really important if people don't realize it, because whether you're a caregiver or not, know somebody who has Alzheimer's or not, this is really the time where we as a community, I get so much joy when I see so many people at the Capitol when we light the Capitol purple. I get joy when I'm able to see the different people who are going through similar journeys. And while we may not all be on the same path, to be able to relate to others who are there and be able to see why they care so much for the cause is what truly makes this event very memorable for me and something that I look forward to. Now, this rally this year, we always push for increased funding for respite care, the brain bus, but there's also a new public awareness campaign. How will these initiatives directly impact those living with Alzheimer's and their caregivers?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, we are always advocating for funding for the Brain Bus. For those who are unaware, the Brain Bus is a program through the Alzheimer's Association. It's a mobile initiative, only here in Florida. We're the only state to have a Brain Bus. And it travels the entire state. Every year it goes to all 67 counties, and it educates communities about the importance of brain health, risk reduction strategies, early detection and diagnosis and warning signs. And then for those who are currently, dealing with the disease, we can provide caregiving resources. But it's really an incredible opportunity to be able to discuss Alzheimer's, discuss brain health, really get people talking and thinking about their brain health, because now we know that there are things that people can do to try to mitigate their risk of developing Alzheimer's or a form of dementia. So we want to have those conversations, and the brain bus is an absolutely critical tool in that. For the respite, we have a program in the state of Florida called the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative. It provides respite care, whether that's in home or adult daycare, for families of loved ones with memory issues. So Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. But unfortunately, we have significant wait list in the state. So the current numbers as of August last year, there are over 18,000 individuals who are on the wait list for that specific program. So we are advocating for $6 million dollars in an increase to help alleviate and get more families off of those wait lists, because it's so critical. And, we talk so much about caregivers, but the reality of it is here in Florida, 66% of dementia caregivers are also dealing with their own chronic health condition. Around 29% of those caregivers are dealing with clinical depression. So they have been clinically diagnosed with depression through the work of their caregiving. And also, we know that about 41% of caregivers, and this is actually nationwide, have a household income of 50,000 or lower. So these families, these caregivers, they need our support. They're going through things. So our advocates are there. Some of them are going through this experience. They have gone through this experience, or some of them fortunately have the means to take care of their loved one, but they're advocating for those who need that support and need to get off those wait lists to get these services. And then the awareness campaign is a new piece of legislation that we're working on this year. And what it would do is it would create Florida's first ever statewide public awareness program. This would provide education on early diagnosis, knowing the warning signs, talking about your brain health and risk reduction strategies. And the real key to that is we know we have an aging population. We know our population right now who are living with Alzheimer's, but we know that we're probably going to have more and more people as the years go. That trajectory is going to rise. And now we have FDA approved treatments. We know that people can be proactive in the early stages if they are diagnosed early. So, this is all about education, empowerment, having those conversations, breaking away those stigmas of the disease. And so, this awareness campaign would provide education and on that throughout the state for families.
Y'all don't realize how important that is. Cause I mean, for me, of course, I'm in college now, so I'm not always as hands on in being home every day like I was when I was in high school and when I was in middle school. But there are a lot of times where when my mom is caring for my grandmother, the days are hard. Not every day is pretty, especially when she's, in her later stages of Alzheimer's, where things can not be so fun a lot of the times. And respite care is definitely something that we appreciate. We have, those family and friends that come in here and there to help when they can. But there are a lot of people, especially those who are youth caregivers. I mean, being on a college campus has showed me so much with not even knowing how many people are caregivers around me that I never would have known. And so I encourage everybody listening, like, really, if you can be there, please be there. It's going to be March 10th through the 11th of this upcoming week. We need people, whether you know somebody who has Alzheimer's, maybe you're just somebody who's like, I don't know much about it, but I want to help. I want to be able to support the cause and really be able to help those who need it, because there's so many people who have so many stories. And if you sat down and heard every single story, it would really compel, I think, a lot of people to truly dig down deep. But when we're talking about that public awareness campaign, what role does public awareness play in shifting the narrative around Alzheimer's, especially when we have a lot of communities that are affected by the disease? So, how does that public awareness help shift the narrative, and how can communities get involved with that?
It's a great question. And I think it's just the more awareness, the more education, the better. I think I'm a big advocate for more education. I think the more you know about something, the more you see it, you're familiar with it. It really breaks down the stigma and those silos that exist. And so I think when you're able to see billboards, or you see someone that looks like your neighbor who is a friend, and they are suffering from memory issues, maybe that's going to help you think about your own cognition. So I think having those conversations, talking about the disease openly, and it's not all about but it's talking about brain health and what you can do proactively. Eating well, staying active, being social, all these different components could lead to reducing your risk of developing dementia. When you ride a bicycle, you wear a helmet. These little steps that you can take every day to lower your risk. And you can talk about that with your family and your friends. And so I think the more information that's out there, that's publicly accessible, that's, available in different languages and is in the communities, I think is really critical. And so that's why we are so excited about this. Or, seeing a website, seeing a phone number where someone can go to that to get that information, and they can do it in the privacy of their own home. They can say, "Oh, I saw that. Let me go check that out." So I think that that is, absolutely critical.
I also want to add in there too that I think awareness of anything. I mean, with the media, seeing stuff on social media, being able to talk about these different things. I encourage people to use their socials as well to share information. I know that a lot of people, are talking about misinformation being spread, and that does happen in some cases. However, it's also a great tool for people who may not normally go look up more about Alzheimer's, or they may not know more. There's opportunities for you to share fun memories that you've had with the loved one you're caring for, or it's an opportunity for you to put a video out there where you're explaining why you advocate. I know my fave thing I love doing during Alzheimer's Rally and Tally, is being able to go to different places. I'm on my Instagram story and I'm showing everybody, hey, I'm out here doing this, come join me. Or I'm able to show the different reasons why I'm advocating and kind of pull my audience, but also my friends and my peers who may not know about that in there. So definitely use social media to your advantage. Use the community aspect to your advantage. We are communities. We can stick together. And while we may not all have the resources or the, solutions to solve this big issue, we still can stick together and say, hey, you need anything, or trying to step up as community members to make sure that we are truly caring for each other. Because I said earlier the title was 2025 Alzheimer's Rally and Tally. It is, but I also have in here advocating for better care, because I think across the board, when we look at our healthcare system, it's not pretty. We don't have many people who have the opportunity to receive good care for the amount of money that they have, or the amount of, or the insurance that they have. We don't have many people who are able to get those things. And so we do have to advocate for better care so that we can continue to make progress. But now when we think about Alzheimer's, my question, because I know some people may not completely understand it. A lot of people have some weird myths and misconceptions about Alzheimer's. And so, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about Alzheimer's and caregiving that you encounter in your work, and how can we work to correct them?
So, so one big thing is that is that Alzheimer's and dementia, that they're kind of not being able to differentiate between the two. I think that's one of the biggest things, and so always like to kind of clarify that for everyone. So people like to use those terms really interchangeably, but dementia is an umbrella term. It really there are many different types of dementia. So if anyone who's listening, really would love that to be a big takeaway, is that dementia is that umbrella term. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. It's about 60 to 80% of the different types of dementia, but it is a type of dementia. It is not, so there's Lewy body dementia, there's frontal temporal, so there's several different types, but dementia is really an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of things, memory loss and other changes. So I think that is something that people, really misunderstand. Also, the risk factors for Alzheimer's. Age is the biggest risk factor for Alzheimer's. That's another, thing that is always trying to. And then, so those are some of them. I think for caregiving, it's really just understanding the impact and the toll that it has on families and individuals, and just the need for support. And that's why we're so strongly advocating for those increases in funding to make sure that people have access to respite care, because it's just so absolutely critical. And I think a big misconception with caregiving, especially from caregivers, is they do everything for their loved one and they're not taking time for themselves. So you always got to think about, when you're on an airplane, you have to put your oxygen mask on before you can put someone else's. And that does not make you selfish. I think that's something that, even from my own personal caregiving experiences, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around that. But you have to take care of yourself, because if you do not take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your loved one. And so, programs like with respite, you can get to a doctor, go out for a walk, maybe go to lunch with a friend to talk to them, maybe, seek counseling, whatever you need, go to a support group. Or, and then also doing the things you need to do, like go to the grocery store and any other errands that need to be done. But we need support, and caregivers need that community, and they need that support and that care. And so those are some of the kind of things that I hear, and things that are always trying to get out there. And I think with education and resources is critical and provides that.
Thanks for sharing that. I also want to clear up a misconception I hear from people with caregivers, that caregivers are always women. And I also hear sometimes that caregivers are over the age of 50. That's not true. There
No,
are they're
no,
not true at
disagree.
all.
Now, I will say that a large percentage of caregivers are women, but that's not to and but 2/3 of those living with Alzheimer's are also women. So,
Right.
this certainly is a women's issue, but there are many male caregivers who are out there caring for their wives, their sisters, their children, their daughters. So their fathers. So we certainly have many male caregivers, and you're absolutely right about caregivers are all ages. They could be in school, they could be working, they can be raising a young family and caring for their parents. Caregivers come um, in all different ways, so there's no age prerequisite to be a caregiver.
Not at all. I like to say, you know how sometimes people say that life's troubles are rated E for everybody. Caregiving is rated E for everybody because
I love that.
you never know when you'll be placed in the situation. I mean, I still am so grateful, but I never knew that we would become caregivers. I never knew
Right.
that that would be, a chapter in our story. And so you have to be ready for that. I mean, between COVID, between yeah, from 2020 on up, I've seen a lot more people my age hearing from them that they're caring for siblings and loved ones. And I know sometimes people, they equate the term caregiver as well for those who end up taking care of their younger siblings. But I mean, it's not just Alzheimer's. And we're not just talking about caregivers with Alzheimer's. There's caregivers, people who are caring for those who have cancer, or they may have ALS, or they're dealing with other autoimmune diseases that are causing them to not be able to move. And caregiving is something that impacts so many people across the board. That's why we come together at this time of the year and we're able to have a time to advocate to make sure that people know what their resources are and people know what their options are. Now, for those who are caregivers who are struggling with limited resources, do you have any advice for them on finding support and self care, even when they may not have that financial assistance?
Absolutely. So, for those, especially who are dementia caregivers, the Alzheimer's Association has a helpline. It's 1-800-272-3900. It's 1-800-272-3900. And our website is alz.org. We have, you can find local support groups. There are online support groups. There are like web pages where you can join online communities to talk with fellow caregivers. Also, there are tips on how to manage caregiver stress. And so there are all sorts of resources that you can use. And then for those who are, looking for other support, there's always the area agencies on aging. If your loved one is aging, you can contact them. Their information's on our website as well, but they can connect with to help with getting some, support services as well. But alz.org and our helpline are wonderful. And our helpline is 24/7, 365 days a year. And that's run by master's level dementia clinicians that you can call anytime to really help with any situation. So it's an incredible resource.
Please utilize that. Also, look at Facebook support groups. I think my mom's in one of them for caregivers. There, if you feel like you want to start a support group with those around you and you see enough people in your area, do that as well. I mean, we have to all stick together and make sure that everybody feels heard and has the opportunity to have those that support them, because we all know our family may not step up to the plate sometimes. Sometimes it's those we choose as our friends, the people we choose as our family, who really make the difference in the end. But as we get ready to wrap up, I mean, looking at the future of Alzheimer's care in Florida, what kind of long term solutions or changes do you hope to see over time? And how can we contribute to making those changes a reality?
That's a great question. I really love that. I think there's just so much uncertainty, in the world, and I think we just have to keep working now to ensure that first of all we have the funding to have, we in Florida have a pretty strong Alzheimer's infrastructure, I would say. We have state agency that's very equipped. We have our own dementia respite program. Even though we do need significant need, we are far ahead of other states in that sense. We have over the past few years really worked to enhance training standards in our long-term care industry, and also working with our public safety. So last year, legislation was passed to ensure that law enforcement had access to Alzheimer's continuing education training. And then, before that, we worked to have dementia training standards in long-term care that hadn't been updated in several years. So, really working to advance that. I think it's kind of seeing where the future goes. As we kind of keep moving into this era of treatment now, we have two FDA approved treatments, ensuring that people are able to get early diagnosis, are able to access these treatments. I think that's going to be really critical as we move towards the future. But then also, again, for those who are in the middle to later stages, making sure that they have the quality care and ensuring that they're getting quality care. These are going to be really essential elements as we move forward in the years to come.
Thank you so much for sharing that, y'all. I want y'all to please be out there. Like we said, this is going to be March 10th and 11th. We will be at the Capitol. I'll let you share more of the rundown of how people
Yeah.
can get involved.
Yeah, so I think Monday, March 10th is a great way. So during the day, we're actually going to have the brain bus that I mentioned earlier at the Capitol. It's going to be in it's called the large vehicle area. It's right off of Monroe. So anyone can come by, tour the brain bus, see what it's all about. So we'd love to have you there. And then in the evening at 6 p.m., we're going to be lighting the Capitol purple. So we'd love for you to come out, show your support. That'd be great. And then we do have advocates who will be meeting with legislators on the 11th. But we'd love for you to come out on the 10th, see the brain bus, but also show up for the Capitol lighting as well, and meet advocates and learn about how you can continue to get involved.
Yes, please be out there. It's so fun, y'all. I actually did a creative project. I have to share it with you actually what I did a creative project last year around this time for one of my visual storytelling classes where I was taking photos during the entire event to be able to show just a random person. If you haven't been to Alzheimer's Rally and Tally, just show some photos so that you could experience it and be able to see it in another light. And so I really do ask people to come. You don't have to be somebody caring for all or caring for someone who has Alzheimer's. You don't have to be living with Alzheimer's. You can just be a supporter, just be somebody there who wants to help. Again, we're going to be there on March 10th, that Monday at 5:30 for the purple lighting ceremony. And if you are coming to advocate, we start bright and early, so make sure you're there that next day on Tuesday, and we'll be there the entire time. I'm looking forward to being able to meet all the wonderful faces that will be there, and I just really look forward to us passing this legislation because I already feel like everything's going to go through. It did last year, and we want to keep that same ball rolling. But thank you so much, Miss Braisted, for coming on again. Could you share ways people could connect with you and just learn a little bit more information if they wanted to?
Oh, absolutely. So you can, of course, check out the website, alz.org, and the helpline, which is 800-272-3900. I am available on X as All's Advocate Jen. Also, we have our All's Advocacy Florida Facebook page and Instagram account. So keeping all up to date on all this priorities that we've discussed today, whether it's the awareness program bill or the funding for the brain bus and the respite. We're going to keep everyone posted on what's going on as everything moves along during this 60-day legislative session. So you can find everything there. Again, I'm All's Advocate Jen with two N's, and then All's Advocacy FL is our Facebook and our Instagram account.
Make sure y'all definitely connect. She's definitely somebody great to know. So make sure that you connect. I appreciate you all so much for listening. And before I wrap up, I do have one announcement. The Big Ben Hospice Acts 2 and the Alzheimer's Project are presenting Caregiving with Heart, Support for Hospice and Alzheimer's Families. It's going to be a conference on Saturday, March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Registration starts at 8:30 a.m. and it'll be at Old West Florida Enrichment Center, which is on 2344 Lake Bradford Road, Tallahassee, Florida. Free admission is what they have. You can register by March 7th. And complimentary breakfast and lunch. There'll be raffle and door prizes and live entertainment. So make sure you all are there. Respite care and child care services will also be provided. So if that may have deterred you, they have you covered and will be providing assistance. But please make sure you're there for that as well on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025. But I also just thank you again for being on. Please connect with me on all my social media platforms. You can go to YouTube and subscribe to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15. You can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And by all means, please visit the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com. I am so grateful that you consistently listen. And as I wrap up, remember one thing: you are loved, you are enough, and you matter. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And I will catch you on the next Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Until next time, be blessed.